Hi, I'm Taylor with Mom on the Spectrum, and today I'm going to be sharing 11 things that I wish I would have known as an undiagnosed autistic teenager. Today I'm a mom of two, and I was diagnosed as autistic at the age of 31, which was about 3 years ago now. I started my YouTube channel to help teach others about what I had learned because it totally changed my life and helped me be more accepting, have more self-compassion, and to generally just show up more fully in the world. I'm excited to share these lessons that I've learned along the way because I feel like if I would have had these when I was younger, it would have made so much of a difference for me in terms of being able to accept myself, love myself as I am, to quit searching for reasons why I'm different, over analyzing everything, and just to find this calmness and this stillness within, to know that there's nothing wrong with me, that I'm just different. And if I would have been able to have vocabulary to describe those differences and to describe my experiences, I can only imagine how much it would have helped with my anxiety and my stress. No matter where you find yourself today, if you're the parent of someone on the spectrum, if you're considering the idea that you might be autistic, if you're a teenager, hi, I'm talking straight to you today. I hope that these tips can help you feel more seen and supported. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. If these types of resources seem helpful to you and where you're at in your journey, I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button so that you can become part of our community here. I'd also love to hear from you in the comments about which of these lessons resonate the most with you and which lessons you would add to the list. So let's jump right in. The first thing I would tell my younger autistic teenage self is that you are not too sensitive. People may tell you this, you may think that you're overreactive, that you're too emotional, but all of those things are just as they should be. Your body is giving you appropriate responses and feedback based off of the experiences around you. My psychologist suggested a change that many of you have probably heard me say already on the channel because I've said it many times, but it can be very helpful to swap out the word sensitive with responsive. Your body is responsive to what is going on in your environment. Other people might take that to be that you're too sensitive because you respond differently to things than other people. But really all it is your body takes in information in a different way and processes it in a different way. So allow that sensitivity, allow that responsiveness to move through you, take it seriously, appreciate your body for giving you that feedback, and make peace with this way you have of interpreting the world around you. The second thing that I would want my younger autistic self to know is that oftentimes autistic people can feel a disconnect from their body. We tend to kind of feel stuck in our heads because we process a lot of information, and a lot of times that can keep us feeling cut off from the information that our body is giving us. And so sometimes people have explained it as just being kind of a floating head and not really having any idea what your body's doing. But it's important to cultivate that relationship with your body. So I would want my younger self to know that by connecting with your body and really becoming in tune with the feedback it's giving you, it can help you regulate, it can help you de-stress, it can help you feel less anxious. The ways that you can become more in tune with your body are just being intentional about experiencing the world through your body. So that can be through sports, through music, through dance, through yoga, through being in nature. Anything you're doing where you're intentionally experiencing the world around you and focusing on what comes in through your senses. It can also be as simple as just taking a few mindful breaths and paying attention to parts of your body that might feel anxious, stressed, tight, and then breathing in and visualizing that air going to those tense, tight spots in your body. So small practices like this can really help you connect again to your body, which can be a very healing and integrative experience. The third thing I would tell my younger self is don't fake a laugh or a smile to make other people feel more comfortable. I think for me, this kind of went along with masking. And if you're unfamiliar with masking, that's a common practice, either consciously or subconsciously for people on the spectrum. It's where we kind of mimic other people's behaviors, speech patterns, communication styles in order to come across as more part of the herd, in order to be more socially acceptable. And I think for me, a lot of times that came with, especially in high school, laughing or smiling whenever I didn't want to, just to make other people feel more comfortable. I would say let them be uncomfortable, let your face do whatever it wants to do, and just be yourself. The fourth thing that I would tell my younger autistic self is that setting boundaries actually helps us to show up more fully for ourselves and for others. So one common experience I've noticed for many people on the spectrum is that we tend to be people pleasers. We tend to focus more on what other people are wanting and needing before we focus on ourselves. And it can make all the difference in the world to start setting healthy boundaries that protect your time and energy and resources. This is not a selfish thing. This is not a mean thing. Whenever you know what is yours to focus on and what is another person's, that helps you to show up more more fully in the present moment. And whenever you feel more centered and grounded, you can absolutely show up more fully for other people in your life as well. In order to start learning how to set boundaries, it's important to start identifying what you want and what you need. That might be kind of scary, and that might be a practice for those of us who are chronic people pleasers, but it can even be helpful to just sit down and start writing a list. What do I want? What do I need? And don't judge whatever comes, and just let it flow. Put it on the paper and see what happens. After you identify what you want and what you need, you can start communicating those things to people in your life that you have friendships and relationships with. The fifth thing I tell my younger self is that it's okay to want to be alone. I used to think it was kind of weird because all of my friends wanted to hang out all the time, go to parties. Now, I was social and I did plenty of social things, but one of my favorite things to do was to be alone in my room. I had a big boom box on my shelf and I would turn my music up really loud and I'd lay on my bed and I would just do that for hours. I love to organize my room. I love to reorganize my closet over and over again, and my room was my safe space. I would also tell myself just to not only be okay with needing alone time, but to prioritize it, because that can be very, very helpful and regulating for people on the spectrum. The sixth thing, and now I'm wishing I would have added this higher up on the list, is that stimming is so important. Intentional stimming is so important. So I feel like for many late diagnosed autistic adults, either self or professionally diagnosed, both are welcome here, we probably have trained out of us the practice of stimming because at some point it was upsetting to somebody and we decided to turn them into covert stims that other people couldn't see, like picking at our hair, our skin, our nails, scrunching our toes. Stimming, especially large stims, is very important. So lately I've been breaking it down into two different categories. So small stims is like twirling things, fidgeting. Large stims is moving your whole body, shaking things out. The stereotypical autistic stim is hand flapping, but this can be dancing, this can be running, this can be moving your arms around. A lot of people like to pace. The reason that we stim is to move stuck energy out of the body. It helps our nervous system regulate. There is a reason that we do it, a specific purpose. And whenever we intentionally engage in stims, it can really help diffuse a lot of that pent up energy. So I would tell myself that large stims take the edge off of pretty much any anxiety and stress that I'm feeling. Speaking of stress and anxiety, number 7, I would tell my younger self that stress and anxiety does not have to be a default state. It shouldn't be your default state. But this is what I lived in. I thought everybody did this and that I was just not managing it as well as others. On the outside, you couldn't tell though, because I looked like I was managing it really well. But on the inside, I had so much anxiety. I dealt with depression when I was younger, and I just didn't know that everybody didn't feel this way all the time. So I would tell my younger self to prioritize my health, to know that it wasn't worth taking all the AP advanced classes so that I could get the weighted GPA. It wasn't worth trying to do all the social events that made me feel overwhelmed. What is worth my time and investment and energy is prioritizing my health and doing things that feel good, doing things that make me feel more whole and centered and grounded. Definitely worth prioritizing that. Number 8, I would have told my younger self to ask for visual aids and written instructions whenever I was having difficulty learning something. I didn't really have the vocabulary to communicate that I'm a visual learner. And whenever people lecture, like in college, oh my gosh, listening to a lecture is one of the most excruciating things for me. I have to have the information right in front of me. I would rather you give me a textbook and say, here's the assignment, it's due Monday. But listening to someone lecture, if there's no information in front of me to look at, I'm probably getting 20% of that information because I have a really hard time knowing how to organize it without some visual aid. So I wish I would have known when I was younger to ask my teachers beforehand, hey, can you help me out by giving me the lecture notes so that I can look at them while you're lecturing? That would have been super helpful. The 9th thing I would have shared with myself is that it's okay to say, I need some time to process this information. So if you're kind of new to learning about life on the spectrum, it might be new to you to hear that we can be delayed processors. So a lot of times in a social situation, it's too much for us to navigate the social dynamics and also integrate the information being shared. Sometimes we need a quiet, private place to do that when there's no social dynamic to navigate. And then after we can sit with that information by ourselves, we can come back to the conversation. It might be an hour later, it might be a week later, which can be kind of frustrating for the other party. But it's totally acceptable and okay to say, I hear what you're saying, I think. Ask questions if you need clarification, and then say, can we revisit this conversation later so that I can put my thoughts and words to this. Totally fine. Number 10, embrace your differences. I think for me, when I was younger, I spent so much time analyzing what my friends were doing, how they dressed, how they talked, what they spent their time doing, wanting to copy the activities that they were interested in, even if I wasn't interested in them. I spent so much time doing that I kind of lost the chance to cultivate my sense of self then. My sense of self was very much copy and pasted from what I saw other people doing. You may have heard before that autistic people sometimes say they take on the personality of whatever book or movie they read last. So it's kind of that similar idea of, we try to observe what other people are doing and fit in that box because we think that's what we're supposed to do, but embrace those differences. Be unique, be weird, say things a different way, wear your hair in a way that nobody in your class has ever done it before. Just embrace your curiosity and self-expression and have fun with where that leads you. And the last thing I would say is to trust your intuition. Number 11, trust your intuition. This is a little late in the video to be introducing this, but unfortunately, many of us on the spectrum also deal with CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress disorder. We won't get into that in this video, but as a result of CPTSD and other autistic experiences, we can sometimes get used to downplaying our intuition because if we've been in a stressful or traumatic situation, you might not be able to focus on all of the information that your body is giving you because you're in a crisis. So it can feel kind of unfamiliar to go back to trusting your intuition if you've downplayed it for a long time, especially again if you've dealt with that mistreatment and abuse. It can be really, really hard to start trusting your intuition again because you're out of practice. But I want to tell you that your intuition is a beautiful, wonderful thing. We have intuition, we have feelings in our gut that just tell us when something is right or wrong a lot of times. So the way that we cultivate that and reignite our intuition, we pay attention and we look for small little cues that it's giving us. If we feel like we're bracing in a certain situation, kind of tensing up, listen to that. What about the situation is uncomfortable and how can you change the situation to better support you and help you feel more safe? If you feel really open and free in a situation, take note of that too. What's happening that helps you feel safe and supported? Your body is a really great indicator of what is happening in your environment and how to respond to it. And so we want to invite that feedback. We want to invite that intuition back in our lives. It can be a practice. It can be a messy practice, but keep coming back to it because your intuition, you can hone it in and you can use it as this miraculous force of energy in life. It is there just waiting to be tapped into. And I think you'll be surprised just how accurate your intuition is once you start paying attention to it again. If you're looking for some more support to better understand autistic patterns and experiences, you can check out my Meltdown Survival Guide, which goes into more detail on our nervous system. I talk about the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system, how it can feel like one is acting as the gas and one is acting as the brake, and you're being pulled in two different directions. I talk about how to regulate those types of feelings and experiences, some of my favorite practices for helping me through a meltdown, and also some of my favorite products that just help get me through when I'm in those meltdown valleys. You can find a link to the Meltdown Survival Guide in the description. You can also find it on my website along with other resources at momonthespectrum.life. Thanks so much for watching. If this video was helpful to you, if you could give it a thumbs up, please subscribe to the channel so that you can be a part of this beautiful community here. Be kind to yourself. Your brain is a beautiful, wonderful thing that deserves to be respected and celebrated, and I'm here to help you cultivate that. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.